Well, in Matthew 5, Jesus is talking to his disciples and a bunch of other people. And after going through all the Beatitudes, he told his disciples, his apprentices, his followers, that they needed to be the salt of the earth. And then he said, we need to be the light of the world. And like a city built on a hill, you cannot be hidden, you should not be hidden. And then he goes on to say, in the same way as being the salt and the light of the world, he says, go and, let me quote it right because I might butcher it. He says, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. So I think he kind of, I guess 20 years ago that I wrote in my Bible that's my evangelism verse. That's my witnessing verse too. To just show people my Father, your Father, through our good works and good deeds. And always, or try to the best of your ability, your motivations be to give him the praise and not us or the church or anybody else, but him the glory. Here at New Life, we have a food pantry, and we serve approximately 140 to 150 families a month. So this is our food pantry, right through here. We actually call it a choice pantry because we found that many people that depend on food pantries around town will get food boxes, and those boxes have predetermined items like typically green beans and peanut butter and things like that. So over time, you might stock up with like 5 peanut butters in your pantry, and you have other needs besides peanut butter. So what we did, and some people, other pantries do, I think, is have a choice pantry. So you can see right here, so if you're a family size of 1 to 2, you can pick out 10 items, and each item is basically a point. So you get a cart, and you might grab some Cheerios, some beans, come down here and get a few noodles. You may want peanut butter, ravioli. Chef Boyardee is really popular, especially with the pop-off, so folks that don't have any kind of way to cook items can just open this up and get to it. So this is our choice pantry, and then on the other side we have hygiene items. We try to budget for that as well. So as far as helping this, we have a budget each month, and then we also rely on there's groups, and another church across town does like a yearly drive where they bring us some canned goods and such. So we depend on the good graces of the community along with their own budget. So anyway, this is our choice pantry, and we serve approximately 140 a month on average. And we do the choice pantry on Wednesdays from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon, and then also Sunday at 11:30 right after church we serve. So if anyone wanted to be involved with that, they could show up on a Wednesday or Sunday right after church at 11:30 and just introduce yourself and find the team leader, and then we'll just try to figure out how to schedule in to help. We also do a soup kitchen, AKA community meal. We call it community meal because people come, a percentage come for that they haven't ate all day and they really, really need to eat. But that's probably the lower percentage. Most people come for 2 reasons. They come for fellowship, because I found that loneliness is probably the biggest issue and disease maybe there is. And they come to be seen and hang out, and when they come and eat a meal here, for instance, they're able to shift funds around. They don't have to eat here or another place, or several places do community meals. Then they can just shift money around and be able to pay their OMU bill or Atmos bill or whatever it may be. So it helps with finances, but it also helps with just being able to be around people. It's a lot about community. It really is. A guy started coming probably 2 months ago. I'll call him Tom. He's 74 years old, and is kind of a clean-cut man, a big gentleman, about 6'2", I would guess. And he sat down. I walked by, and he knew I was the pastor, so he wanted me to sit with him for a minute, and he wanted me to pray for him. But in talking to him, found out he's been recently separated, and he's sleeping in his car. I said, what about St. Benedict's and things like that? And he says, well, I've gone there, but it's just not for me. Too many people. I have a car, so people want rides from me, or they want money. They're asking for money, so it's just easier and better for me to sleep in my car. So But in going through all that, I was able to pray with him, of course. And last night he came back, and I gave him a good resource, I hope, at the Welcome House. So we'll work in our ways, little ways, to help him get situated. So it is about community, and he comes every week now, and he's talking to several people. He's found some friends, so to speak. So yeah, it really is about community. All right, so this is where we do our community meals. The capacity is probably 120 folks, but we average about 75-ish on our Tuesday nights, which is when we have our weekly meals. We serve at 5 o'clock, and again, serve around that 75 mark. And then if there's anybody interested in serving, you can come as individuals, or if you have a group of people that you hang out with and you want to serve as a group, you can just contact us at the church, and I'll contact you with the right person, and we'll get you scheduled to serve. So we have about 6 or 7 cook teams right now. Some do once a month, and some do like every other month or even quarterly. So we can put you in our schedule and make it work for whatever works for you. It's on Tuesday nights, yes, at 5 o'clock is when we serve. So groups, people who cook and such, get here earlier, whatever, how long it takes them to do it. Usually cook teams provide the food, about half of them, and then we get the other. We'll get the food or have some food in our pantry or in the freezers that they can use, so we make it work. So yes, we do our inside ministries would be our food pantry and then our community meals, but we have this little house on our property that's been remodeled and has shower and bedrooms and kitchen, TV and that kind of thing. And its shoes, we partner with Borrowed Hearts on that. And Borrowed Hearts is a foster care organization that works with families by helping them with resources and really just encouragement. And what happens in this city, in this area, is that we also work with the Kentucky State social workers, I guess you'd say. Social workers get called in the middle of the night to go pick up a kid out of the house, and they have nowhere to go. In the past, Borrowed Hearts would meet the social worker down in their office just a little bit around the corner, and the child and social worker would stay there in the office with office chairs and sleep on the floor or whatever. Now we have a little partnership where they just pull the kid out, and everybody has access to it, and they come in there. They're able to sleep and shower and relax, and it's got internet even, so they can do their work, and the kids can be kids until they find a home. So some kids are there for a couple hours, some for a day or two, and then not too long ago, somebody was there for like 3 weeks. We have actually the main thrift store, we call the main one, then we have a dollar store too. That's kind of one block over. And the mission there has become, we're kind of, I say we are a nonprofit that helps other nonprofits. So what we do is each month the receipts we get, of course we got to pay the state taxes and all that kind of thing, but we pay all our bills, employees and all that, and then we also what I call profit share each month. And so we're able to give out, last year I think we gave out like $38,000 to the community. This year we're hoping to do 40 or 42,000. So we basically, somewhere around 20% of what we get, we give out, and we're able to help the following nonprofits, just to give you an idea, like Habitat for Humanity, we give each month to them. And then also to the Faust and Cravens and Owensboro Middle School Resource Centers. And the teachers or the resource leaders over there just love it. So they're able to get, budgets are really hard for the school system, so they're able to get underwear or clothes or a bike or whatever they might need for a student. So it's been really neat there. And we also help Crossroads and then Shepherd's Hands, which is huge. Both of those are huge food pantries as well. And then Borrowed Hearts a little bit, and then we sponsor a foreign missionary, help her and him, both, that's a couple each month. And then we give to Fresh Start for Women, and then money comes over here for our food ministries as well. So yeah, I think there's nine nonprofits that the ladies over there and one guy, they work hard to share. So it's quite a ministry over there. I could tell you some stories. All right, so we'll go across the street to the clothing stores. We have what we call our main thrift store right here, and it's about 13 years old now. And then there's one on the corner over there on 5th and Crabtree. It's called the dollar store, where items are really between $1 to 50 cents and $2, most items. So And then on the third Thursday of each month, Owensboro Health sets up a medical clinic right over here to my right. It's a walk-in medical care clinic. And it's basically a minor emergency center. Yeah, we're like on Sundays, church, we're very small, like 75, and it's just kind of been like that through the years, actually. Occasionally over 100 a little bit, and occasionally under 75. A little bit transient, but we got a good, steady group of core group. But we can't do it all here. And coming over here was actually the vision, to be honest, was to be a serving ground for churches. Provide a place where groups can come in, small groups, churches, whatever, and cook and do and clothe and do all that. That was really the vision, because I don't like the way some people view the church as not being that, his hands and feet. So that was really a big part of it. So we've survived having cook teams come in. We used to do the community meals Tuesday and Thursdays, and so we'd have like 12 different cook teams that would cook either monthly or every other month. From First Baptist, from Bellevue, Owensboro Christian had a group back in the day. Christ Community does still now. Friends of Sinners, Independence Bank. Faust students come over a couple times a year, and Audubon Nazarene, St. John's, United Methodist. Other groups, individuals will show up. So it's a serving ground, and it's open to anybody, for sure. How to figure out, Mama T, Mother Teresa said, when she'd get all these calls to India, she would say, just come and see. They'd ask, what do you want me to do? What can we do? She'd say, come and see. So it's kind of I copied her and just say, just come on, come look, see where you feel your heart tug, and we'll get you going. We have like a host team for like the meals, and so they get the groups going and let the groups do the serving and clean up and that kind of thing. It's weird, I think. It's a God thing that we are such a outreach-centered church, although, like you said, most of it's coming here, but it's centered on the community. Our sign says a church for the community. I have found over time that because we do so much serving, because at one time, last year we did a survey, and out of our regulars, it was 90% served somewhere in our church. That includes pantries and meals and children's ministry, prayer team, sound, and all that. Is 90-something%. I mean, we're only like I said, it's probably 60 people in the core group. That's pretty good. It's in our DNA, our culture, our ethos, and so it's weird, but by doing this outreach, serving others in the community, it just came right into the church. And we don't struggle much at all getting help. People, here I am, yeah. Some of the larger churches do have like paid staff members do that and throw block parties and VBS, whatever else they do. But I have found over and over and over and again that if you want to do something like that, you can stand up there and do your announcements. We need somebody to help join us on a cook team. And maybe somebody might come up and say, okay, I will. But generally you have to go around and ask people to say, hey, we need you to share your gifts in this area. And it's pretty effective. I'd say about 89.3% effective. When you ask people, they like to be needed, and most people will step up. You mentioned the Good Samaritan in one of your questions, and I think that is important. It's very applicable. It applies to today. And to me, Jesus just teaches that everybody that you come in contact is your neighbor, and everyone has value, and everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless. So, Good Samaritan should be always to mind, and it's a story that never gets old. Jesus went through that parable, that teaching, and then Jesus asked him, kind of tricked him a little bit, said, well, which of the guys was the Good Samaritan? Who did the best? Who was right? And he said, well, I suppose the one who showed mercy. And what did Jesus say? Go and do likewise. So we got to do mercy, and my definition of mercy is love with wheels. Yeah, going back to your comment of people don't really care what you know until they know how much you care. I just think that's so true. And Remember show and tell back in elementary school? Did you ever do that? Or are you too young for that?
Probably.
I mean, you might bring a magnifying glass or something. I think it's a kind of way to help people at ease for public speaking, you're in third grade or whatever. So you have your magnifying glass and you're explaining what it does, burning ants or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's better to show the gospel, going back to the care part, before you tell. And I think the church, as a general rule, kind of gets it backwards, like let's tell them about it, and then the gospel, the good news of his grace, and then we'll show him. Not all the time, but I think we tend to go that way a little more than the show and tell, and I just think that's the most effective. Now, in saying all that, where I'm guilty, and probably this flock as well, as a general rule, we do really good at showing. We need to do more telling, to be honest. We need to be a little more, we're good with hands and feet, but not always with our words. So, and it gives you opportunities too. And when you know, like the gentleman I was talking about down in the community mill, he knows where I stand. I know where he is, and we're able to communicate. And he just loves knowing that I care about him. And when he needs to pray and do the God stuff, he's going to come to me or other folks down there that he knows and trusts. So, as our Lord said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I think that's why you get the magic of when you serve somebody and you put a face to grace, something just comes alive, and it's because it's more blessed to give. Back 22-ish years ago, I was on staff in a church and sitting in the church listening to the message, and kind of just got distracted a little bit. And I was trying to listen to the message. I ended up just kind of going wherever, and I turned to the book of James and started reading it, and the preacher was just doing his thing. And to me, it's just like blah, blah, blah. I was just out of it. And then it just seemed like James 1:22 just like raised out of the Bible almost, that's the impact it had on me. In James 1:22 it says, don't merely listen to the word, and deceive yourselves. Do what it says. And Randy, I don't know what happened to me, but it's like, man, I've been listening, I've been reading, I've been teaching it, and all these things. I do the word some, but it's that moment where something changed inside of me. And it was just, I got to apply all this, not just my favorite parts or the easy parts of the scriptures, but all of it, the best you can. So that's when something was born in me. And then I guess it was about 6 months to probably not even a year later, I helped co-lead a mission trip down to Jackson, Mississippi, 12 hours away, with Ken and Lena Souwester. But anyway, we got down there and did intercity VBS. And that's the day I say my heart grew 3 times larger. But it's just like, I actually said it out loud because somebody reminded me later, but I thought and said, why can't we do this in Owensboro? Is there a reason why we can't do something like this in OBKY? There wasn't a reason. Long story short, came back, continued on, but with a very much unease about things. James 1:22 is in there, what I saw. And then, unbeknownst to me, subconsciously, I've been kind of checking on this church, just driving by and just wondering what's going on. And then one day on a Wednesday morning, after a Bible study with 5 or 6 men over at McDonald's on Parrish Avenue, went home for a quick prayer time and all that, and got cleaned up. Come out of my neighborhood, which happens to be I run into Bosley Road, and to turn right, I stopped there at the intersection. There's a crossroad in life. Turn right, we would go to my offices where I work, do my normal job, so to speak. Turn left, which was what I was thinking about. I would come, Bosley turns into Crabtree, which would lead me to New Life Church, the old Crabtree Avenue Baptist Church. Sit there for what seemed like a long time, and I was just like, I guess like Paul, like, no, don't go that way, go this way. So I turned left, came down here, knocked on the door, and an 81-year-old man answered it and brought me upstairs. I met the secretary, a beautiful young lady, and I toured the building, walked through here, and it's the first time, well, the only time really, that I think just saw a glimpse just a glimpse, of God's glory, just that much. So, walked out and went to my car, and it's like, my gosh, what's going on, Put my hand on top of the car and just looking to the side of the building, and finally I just called my mom and to be accountable. I said, Mom, this is what I just saw. So I told her, and that kind of kept me accountable. And but I continued to work at the other church. I was bi-pastoral, I'll call it. I worked both places for a whole year, and then came this way. But James 1:22, Matthew 5:16, and just God, just laid a burden on my heart, which He does to a lot of people. I believe in the art of the start, So, for us and where we're located, it was kind of almost a no-brainer, Like we wanted to do Matthew 25, clothe and feed and that kind of thing. So I learned, and my philosophy is, I learned this from Mark Batterson. It's in one of his books, but he says, how we go, get ready, get set, go. Well, God, I have found, kind of flips that. He's like, go, get set, and then get ready for what He has in store for you. So it's kind of our philosophy. And I was lost when we got here. I didn't know what we were to do and how to do it, but we just assembled people together and found people that are passionate about that kind of thing from all over Owensboro, really, from my home church at the time. 2 or 3 leaders from there came with me to help. So yeah, you just start. Start small if you need to, but just start, and then let God kind of take care of the details as you go. God knows you and me, knows us pretty well, intimately, more than we know Him, of course. And my thing is, I'm a peacemaker. That's kind of where my heart is. And I'm not real good with conflict. And He fought, especially as you look back, He fought so many battles for me that I didn't even have to face. It's just like, it's almost like the Red Sea, so many things happening. The only obstacles that I can remember is over finances, because there wasn't much finances here. And we had to do everything to this building if we're going to be a church for the community. New windows in here, windows in one floor, and then getting the community meals ready. We had to redo the kitchen a lot and get approval. Just had to spend a lot of money, but the money just kept coming in. But this young lady, about 77, was there /our now. They voted me in pastor, but she was the finance committee all to herself, chairman, and committee members. She just come up to me and says, Todd, I'm telling you what, if you keep spending money like this and the money's not coming in, we're not going to take it out of our little bit of savings that we have. And I'm saying, okay, that's all right. We'll do it. So the only obstacles really was probably that. But I found that, and it's the wisdom I'd give to anybody wanting to start things, is, you got to have the vision or the mission, the go, and then it's vision before provision. Did I say that right? Yeah. You have the vision, you go, and God provides. And the other bit of wisdom is, if you mess up, which you will, you take the wrong steps or get off path slightly, He'll bring you back. He'll bring you back. And then I've had to remember several times, because God had used me 5 years. I thought I was a seasonal guy, 5 years, literally. And after 5 years here, I was like, hello, is it time to go yet? Never heard crickets, never heard anything. But I've learned in this last 20 years or so, sometimes I want to run, sometimes I want to give up, sometimes there's just too much darkness. But I remember what He told me in the light. Do not let the dark take away. Don't let fear, doubt, or anything take it away. You just got to always hang on to those moments where He was talking to you. So that's my secret to longevity. Yeah. So remember what He tells you in the light, and if you mess up, He's gonna get you back. And going back to starting, that's the other thing. Coming here, I didn't know where to start at all. It's just like we got people together, formed a team, and Matthew 25, and just, okay, you take this and I'll help you, and started.
The church is you and I, is us, not the building, right?
Right. Right.
Why do you think more people, what keeps us from getting out and being active?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think we churches tend to be internally focused versus externally focused. After all, we got enough going on inside our four walls, from programming to problems and issues. So the thought of going outside the four walls for leadership, a lot of times it's like, oh man, what do you expect from me? I can't do that. Just got enough inside. So I think there's just barriers like that. And sometimes outside of the church building, we think this world out there, I don't know, we just perceive they're not interested in what we do or the church, maybe. Some fear involved, a lot of perceptions like that. So, and then sometimes we're just, in our own lives, we're just so busy, we're hurried, we're stretched thin, priorities get mixed up, maybe we're lazy. Now that I'm older, when I go home at 6 or 7 o'clock, I'm ready. I don't want to get out kind of thing. I just want to go home and relax. So I think it's just a lot of things. We're selfish with our time. And I'm speaking to me. Let's just do the talents and treasures, and time. We're just selfish with those things too many times. But I think of Jesus, what he would do. I'm kind of mixed, He made to walk into our churches and just be loving on people, and and he came for the poor, the spiritually poor and the poor. So part of me sees that, and then also I see that time he came in and turned over tables, and sometimes I thought, would he be so disappointed in us, as a whole? Would he just remind us about the kingdom of God? That's why he came. He said, I came to preach the good news of the kingdom of God. Why aren't you guys more involved in the kingdom? Kingdom's everywhere. It's not just in the four walls, it's everywhere. Wherever he's present and his people are present and doing his work, it's there. So I don't know if he would reprimand us like he did the Pharisees all the time, or love on us, or weep over us, Like he wept over our unbelief of who he was. And so, I don't know, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, on the other hand, he'd probably come in and start off his letter just telling us about who Jesus is, like he did in Colossians, and then he'd move into maybe rebuking us some, like you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and then he'd probably end with some kind of encouragement. So who knows with old Paul. So I think we're never going to be perfect as a body, but we got to depend on each other. The body is in all churches. We just need to work together and remember it's a kingdom thing, and it shouldn't be competition.
Right.
And most of the time there's not, but or jealousy or anything like that. We're on the same team. We may have different methods in how we preach and music and somewhat different beliefs, but we can agree on the main thing and keep the main thing, I think. Yeah, and I think I learn more about everything, myself and them. It just, you learn, and it's a good feeling, but you got to be careful that you're not doing it for yourself or to be seen or patted on the back. So you got to really watch motives, especially if you do it regularly. That you got to remember the why and for who, and that's important, or you'll get off track for sure. And there's, back to why we do and why all churches should really, because there's nearly 400 mandates in the scriptures how we, the church, are supposed to take care of one another and love and serve one another, take care of the prisoners, the marginalized, the immigrants, aliens, strangers, the poor, the crippled, widows. It just goes on and on, nearly 400 passages. So what's that tell you?